This is the Evelo Galaxy Lux, a purpose-built cruiser designed to make life easier. It comes loaded with high-end tech that's rarely seen in the e-bike world, but the bike's elevator pitch is simple. It's easier to ride and easier to maintain thanks to its automatic shifting Enviolo transmission, gate belt drive, and Bafang mid-drive motor. It's also intentionally built for accessibility, especially for riders in the small to medium-sized range. This bike's got a few clever tricks up its sleeve, so let's dive in and see what it's all about in today's review. What's up, e-bikers? I'm Griffin, and you're watching Electric Bike Report, your go-to for e-bike reviews, our weekly podcast, and more. Be sure to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss the latest from the e-bike world. So we have tested a lot of cruisers over the years, but few bring the kind of tech that Evelo packed into the Galaxy Lux. That tech does more than just sound fancy. It really shapes how the bike handles and feels to ride. So here are my biggest takeaways from our more than 100 miles that we've logged on it. So first up is its tech package, which is definitely the star of the show. The Galaxy Lux runs a 600-watt Bafang mid-drive motor paired with Gates carbon belt drive and Enviolo trekking CVT, which stands for continuously variable transmission, and it shifts automatically with Enviolo's automatique system. So instead of a traditional chain and cassette, you've got a sealed transmission that uses rotating planetary spheres to adjust your pedaling ratio, not cogs or gears. It gives you a wide 380% gear range with seamless incremental adjustment in between. So there's no shifter, and the bike's computer and sensors handle everything. It can sense how hard you're pedaling, whether you're climbing or cruising, and it adjusts accordingly. So think of it like going from driving a stick shift to a smooth automatic. Now the motor delivers up to 980 peak watts of power and 105 Newton meters of torque, but the vibe is more about smooth and controlled cruising rather than raw speed. Paired with the CVT, the experience is just buttery. It's one of the smoothest rides you'll find. Now the second key point here is how it's low maintenance. The setup doesn't just ride clean, it stays clean. The Gates belt lasts at least twice as long as your average chain, and it won't leave grease on your clothes. The Enviolo CVT is sealed and practically maintenance-free. There's no lubing or oil changes required. You can expect several thousands of miles off of that belt, and there are some users online who have claimed to log over 10,000 miles on the CVT system with no issues, which is really impressive. Now my third takeaway is that it's just, again, purpose-built for accessibility. The Galaxy Lux comes in one size, which usually I'd label as a drawback, but rather it's clearly designed for riders between 4'10" and 5'10". It's got a low 15-inch standover height, it weighs 57 pounds, which is fairly light for an e-bike, and operations boil down to just turn it on, pick your assist level, and ride. The tech will appeal to enthusiasts, but beginners or folks getting back on the bike after a long break will appreciate how it does the thinking for you. And lastly, the warranty is among best in class. Most e-bike warranties are just 1 or 2 years, and we usually don't mention them unless they stand out, and this one definitely does. Evelo backs the frame, motor, controller, display, and Enviolo system for 4 years or 20,000 miles against defects under normal use. Now that's a major show of confidence, and with Evelo being in business since 2012, it's not coming from a new brand still finding its footing either. So let's take a look at the rest of the spec on the Galaxy Lux. It comes as a Class 2 e-bike. It's an aluminum frame available in just the one size with this one paint color. Now powering the bike is a rack integrated battery, 48 volt, 11.6 amp hour, or 557 watt hours. The tires are CST Cyclops 24-inch by 2.4 with a road-friendly tread. The fork is fully rigid, it's Evelo's own chromoly fork. Brakes are Tektro Origa E-Comp hydraulic brakes, 2-piston calipers with 180 and 160 millimeter rotors front and rear. The saddle is a Cell Royale Comfort Springer saddle, and it has a swept-back Dutch-style cruiser handlebar on Evelo's Stargazer 110mm stem. It has ergonomic lock-on grips. The left side includes the PAS controller and thumb lever throttle. In the center of the bike is the Bafang full-color 4.7-inch display and various metric display options. The ride comes included with a headlight, taillight, and brake light, and composite fenders, while the included rear rack can hold up to 55 pounds with a total payload capacity of 350 pounds. So as I'm filming this, there are more tariff things going on in the news. Yay! Yay! But I'll just say that it's between the $3,500 and $4,500 MSRP price range. Click the link in the description for up-to-date pricing. So now that you know all that it comes with, let's see how it performs out on the testing grounds. So I am the dedicated brake tester on our team to ensure consistency across every e-bike we review. Same rider, weight, same testing method, every time. For this test, I brought the Galaxy Lux up to 20 miles per hour, applied the brakes, recorded the stopping distance, and repeated the process 2 more times to get an average. And the bike performed exceptionally well, stopping in an average distance of just 17 feet and 3 inches. So for context, our current all-bike average is 21 feet 11 inches, and for cruisers specifically, it's 22 feet 4 inches. So not only is it well above the averages, but let's go a step further. This is the 7th best braking result I've seen from more than 257 e-bikes I've tested, so dang. So that performance was beyond what I expected. Tektro makes solid brakes, but this bike uses a 180/160 rotor setup, which is a step down from the dual 180s that we often see. Still, there are several other factors working in the Galaxy Lux's favor here. It's got a low center of gravity thanks to the frame and tires, a wider contact patch from the tread pattern, and a lighter than average weight at just 57 pounds. So we actually tested a previous version of the Galaxy Lux a few years back, and that one was rocking Zoom brakes. That version delivered average results, so the upgrade to the Tektro Aurigas has clearly made a difference too. These brakes deliver strong bite when needed. They can really stop you on a dime, but they're also nicely modulated, meaning you can slow down gradually and smoothly with just a light squeeze. In our speed test, we check how fast the bike goes in each of its different assist settings, and we also look at the throttle-only performance. Let's take a look how the Galaxy Lux did. All right, speed test here on the Galaxy Lux. So right now, pedaling around without any motor assistance whatsoever, about 8.5 miles per hour. Climbing a little bit up to 9. Let's go ahead and kick that motor on, see what things do in eco mode. So yeah, you can feel it kick in pretty instantly. You can hear a little bit of whirring. Not sure if that's the motor or the Enviolo CVT, but see, it pushes me along a little bit, giving me a little bit of boost to power, but feels really nice, really natural. Upwards of about 12 miles per hour in eco. In tour mode. So it's feeling a little bit lighter here. Again, just making it a little bit easier to push forward. Nothing too drastic, but again, just the tiniest little hum or little whir, not too much noise. Does a really good job of feeling pretty natural though. So we get about 14.7 miles per hour. Kick it over to sport. All right, so same thing, just kind of feels like a lighter effort required, you know? Pretty natural, pretty smooth, really nice not have to change gears. Bike's just kind of doing that for me in the background. Not much conscious thought on my part. So upwards of 17 miles per hour. Bump it into Sport Plus, coming out the other side. And again, the theme continues. Just not feeling any huge surges, just getting a little bit easier every time to pedal, go a little bit faster. Getting about 18.2 miles per hour. I'll finish things off in boost. And this is the lightest feeling mode yet. Keeping pretty consistent pressure on the pedals throughout this whole time. Feel it's getting just under 20 miles per hour for me, about 19.7 or so, 19.8, but yeah, overall pretty good. Really good job from the shifter as well. Let's go ahead and do a little speed test real quick. Now we're gonna see how quickly we get up to 20 miles per hour and how the motor and the automatic shifter do on their own. On your mark, get set, go. So you might be able to hear that little bit of, that little change in the transmission there as it's ramping up speed. You can see the power readout here going upwards of just under 700 watts. Climbing in speed, slowly but surely. Chugging along, upwards of 19. See if we're gonna get faster than that. 19.2 might be the resting spot for me. Yeah, about 19.2 is, I think, where it ultimately topped out at, so. Yeah, overall pretty smooth acceleration. Not the punchiest, but definitely very smooth. So let's break everything down more in the studio. All right, so with no motor assistance, I was traveling around 9 miles per hour. That bumped up to 11.6 miles per hour in eco mode, 14.5 in tour, 17 in sport, 18 in sport plus, and finally 19.8 in boost. Now there's a pretty solid speed distribution here with more noticeable jumps in the lower assist levels and a little bit tighter spacing as you move into the higher modes. Acceleration is controlled and steady. The motor doesn't jolt you forward or launch off the line. Instead, it ramps things up gradually. Each pedal assist level feels like it's lifting a bit of the workload rather than delivering a sudden burst of speed, and that makes for a really natural riding experience. The CVT and automatic shifting system worked smoothly. It kept my effort level consistent and comfortable across the flats. You can sometimes hear the shifting adjustments, but road noise usually drowns them out. I only noticed it when I was really straining to hear it. Now, one of the nice things about the system is that it can be fine-tuned to you. The Enviolo app lets you adjust your preferred cadence so the shifting adapts to your riding style. There's also an optional handlebar controller that lets you tweak cadence settings in real time. It doesn't work like a traditional manual shifter, it adjusts cadence preferences, which is a different process than just shifting gears. And actually, Evelo in the owner's manual flat out states they don't recommend it, so most riders won't need it and just try and dial that cadence in with the app. Still, this thing is silky smooth when going out on a casual cruise, and it's one of the more fun and interesting bits of tech in the e-bike world, at least in my opinion. So range is a crucial part of choosing an e-bike, so we tested the Galaxy Lux in 2 different scenarios, once using the highest level assist of boost and once in its eco mode. And that'll give you a realistic look at what kind of mileage you can expect. Evelo quotes a max range of up to 55 miles, and we got fairly close to that in our testing. On the max power test, the bike went to 31.3 miles before the battery cut out. And then in eco mode, we reached 48.2 miles. Now, range isn't always something you can label as good or bad, it really just depends on your needs. Now that said, I was especially impressed with the efficiency in the max power test. It outperformed both the all-bike and mid-drive averages in our database when looking at watts per mile. The eco mode result was more average overall, but as we saw in the speed test, even eco still provides meaningful assistance that noticeably helps push you along. And one important thing to know about this setup, the Enviolo transmission only works when there's power. So while I don't recommend running any e-bike down to 0, on this bike it's especially important. If you do drain the battery completely, you'll be stuck pedaling in whatever gear ratio you were in last. And with a heavier frame, that could make for a tough trip home. So most e-bikes are embracing frame integrated setups these days, while this one keeps its battery rack integrated. It's still removable for charging convenience or if you buy a backup battery for quick swaps. It makes the back end slightly more weighted, but honestly, unless you're maxing out the rack's payload as well, I don't feel it will be all that discernible when riding for most people. So as far as battery and range go, ask yourself if 30+ miles sounds like enough for you, and just remember to plan your rides with some buffer so you don't lose out on shifting, and you'll be just fine. We tested the Galaxy Lux's motor and climbing performance on our dedicated hill test course, a location we called the Devil's Backbone. It's a half-mile climb with 220 feet of elevation gain and an average grade of 8%. Justin, our designated hill tester, tackled the climb with pedal assist. Let's check out how it went, and then we'll break it down back in the studio.
All right, we're back at it now on the Evelo Galaxy Lux in boost, doing the pedal test. And kind of before this hill, got up to speed decent, 15-16 miles per hour. This bike is not built to be a crazy speed demon, which is actually an advantage for a lot of people. So this first hill, about 11.7 miles per hour, 11.5, kind of bottoms out right about 11.2, and building the speed again. 14.4. Now it has an internal gear hub, so I won't be shifting. It'll kind of be doing that on its own. And make the turn right about 12.8 miles per hour. 12.0. Kind of holding right about 12 miles per hour there. And it's going to bottom right about 11.4-ish. Tap the brakes just a teeny bit. And see where we get to before we hit this first lamppost here. Gonna be right at about 11.7 miles per hour. Now, noise on the motor, it's a Bafang mid-drive motor, and pretty quiet actually. Like I do hear a little whir, but not much at all. Pretty impressive. In terms of pedaling, how much I'm having to put into the pedals, it is mid-drive torque sensor, so a little bit. I mean, it's definitely not a soft pedal, and I'm putting I don't know, more than that to the pedals, but not too bad. Until I'm breathing just a little bit here. And it's really just through the steeper sections, mostly because I can't necessarily shift on my own. So I'm relying on that internal gear hub, which makes it very nice. You don't have to think about it. I kind of like to think about it. So in general, it's probably doing a little better than I expected on the hill for being kind of this lightweight cruiser, just a cruiser city bike. We'll see what it did as we finish right at 10.4 miles per hour.
So ordinarily we'd test out the throttle, but we actually had an issue with the shifter while on the hill. We were able to get it solved pretty quickly later, so we'll redo the Galaxy Lux's throttle test at a later time and update the written review with those results. Link is down below for you to check out, but where this has the same motor and drivetrain as the Evelo Omega, I'd expect results close to its 3-minute and 9-second time. On the pedal assist test, the bike successfully completed the hill, clocking in at 2 minutes and 35 seconds for an average speed of 11.7 miles per hour. That's a bit slower than our current all-bike average of 2 minutes and 4 seconds and the cruiser category average of 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Initially, I expected the Galaxy Lux to be a bit quicker up the hill, especially with its 105 Newton meters of torque rated motor, but I think the motor tuning leans into the bike's theme of comfort and approachability. Instead of throwing all that torque and wattage into blazing hill speeds, it uses that power more strategically, keeping things steady and persistent as long as you're pedaling. There's no quit in the system, but there's really no rush either. Now, as for the shifting performance on hills, overall it did its best on more moderate hills while still being helpful here. The automatic system adapted fairly quickly to the changing demands. On extreme climbs like this one, having some manual override would have been helpful, but for typical inclines, it handled the job smoothly and effectively. Comfort, handling, and who the bike is best for are all best described from the saddle, so let's take one last trip outside and talk about ride quality. It feels like with a lot of the commuters and cruisers that we get in, they're trying to appeal to everyone everywhere all at once. So I kind of appreciate the different approach of the Galaxy Lux. It's a little bit more purpose-built. It's a ride built with, shorter riders in mind. It kind of helps it focus on a few different key areas, keeping the lightweight feel to it, but just really focusing on nice handling, good comfort, and being approachable. The type of bike that you shouldn't be afraid to ride if you haven't been riding a bike in decades. And yes, I say that with an S at the end. That's plural. It's a very simplified experience, the type of thing you just hop on and enjoy, which is really nice. So let's break down all of its different quality components. So first thing, Evelo says this is built for riders 4'10" to 5'10", and it's really easy to envision that with a nice gentle step over height, only 15 inches there. It's got a lower center of gravity, like the head tube on this is only yay high. This is actually a high-rise like stem here. Just everything feels very planted, very stable, and very easy. Again, just approachable is kind of the word of the day. It has this cruiser style handlebar swept back. I'm nearly entirely straight backed here. It's very comfortable and upright. Now, in terms of comfort, you do not get suspension on this one, but for me personally, if you have a fully upright ride, I don't think that's much of a deal breaker. But if you are the type of person who does want some suspension, they do have Cane Creek Thudbuster suspension seat post you can get. They have a Connect suspension handlebar as well, or stem rather. So you can add some comfort that way if you are looking to enhance it. But I do think it's actually pretty comfortable as it is, just with the geometry and the approachable way that they've kind of built this. Now, sticking with that theme of everything's a little bit lower to the ground, it's 24 by 2.4 inch CST Cyclops tires. Really good tire, actually. It's been very kind of like tacky, stuck to the roads. I've actually liked the handling characteristics of this. With a shorter wheelbase bike like this and shorter diameter tire, you can get like the playful nature out of the handling, make it a little snappier, but it's also still very balanced, still very classic cruiser, easy thing to just hop on and go for a joyride with. Again, just really nice overall. Now, just a final note on the motor and the shifting system here. It's just doing a really good job. It's not very loud, stays in the background nicely. You can hear the occasional whir, especially when you're like starting out from the shifter, as it kind of moves you, through the gear ratio there. But it's not the type of thing that's drowning out the ride. It's actually, you hear more road noise and feedback just from the environment than anything. And that's just, again, really pleasant overall. The motor specs, you could almost interpret it as it's going to be a powerhouse, but this is pure cruiser experience through and through. Just very easy, simplified, relaxed, type of thing to just hop on and enjoy. Plus all of the maintenance benefits that you get with this particular system. You know, there's just so many to list. So let's jump back in the studio, talk a little bit more about the longevity and the warranty that you're getting with the Galaxy Lux. So I touched on this earlier in the overview, but it is worth repeating. Evelo's 4-year, 20,000-mile warranty on all the major components, frame, motor, display, controller, and transmission, it's just kind of wild. Even the battery still gets 24 months of coverage with prorated replacement options that can extend up to 4 years under certain conditions according to their warranty page. Now, this bike sits at a more premium price point, so when you're investing at that level, it's reassuring to see a warranty that backs it up, and it's not just a flashy number from a fly-by-night company. It's coming from a brand that's been around for over 13 years, which adds a real sense of trust and credibility. I have tested hundreds of e-bikes over the years, and I will be honest, some of them kind of start to blur together, but the Galaxy Lux here definitely stands out. This is not your average cruiser or even your average e-bike for that matter. The tech package is impressive. It's a smooth, well-integrated system with a ton of real-world benefits. It's low maintenance, clean, and super easy to operate. Just power it on, pick your assist level, and let the CVT and automatic shifting do the rest. It's a heightened cruiser experience for sure. The ride quality is great too. It handles well, feels lighter than most e-bikes in its class, and is just genuinely enjoyable to ride. Now, there are a few modern touches I'd love to see on future versions, maybe more color options, some turn signals, or some expanded programming features. But at this price point, those extras would help it to feel even more complete. But overall, this is a thoughtfully designed, high-quality ride, and one that makes a lot of sense for specific riders. If you're a smaller to medium-sized rider, someone looking for minimal maintenance, or it's been a few years since you actually rode a bike, the Galaxy Lux could be a great fit. It's a premium e-bike experience that's simple, smooth, and refreshingly different. That wraps up our review of the Evelo Galaxy Lux. Drop your questions and thoughts in the comments. We always love hearing from you. I'm Griffin with Electric Bike Report. I'll see you on the next ride.